Hey, this is Stu Schaefer, and I'm about to explain stop eating these foods for weight loss, especially in menopause. I'm going to give you my top 5 foods you really should stop eating ASAP. These foods may be preventing you from losing weight. Okay, let's dive right in. I want to give you an example. I was working with a client named Susanna. She could not lose weight. She was storing all of her body fat in her belly. And as soon as we eliminated most of these foods, she lost weight so fast. And she was able to eat more food and not exercise as much. And the weight just started peeling off. You can see just how much weight she lost so quickly in just a few months. And she's been able to maintain that for over a year. All right, so let's just get right in. All right, the first food that you should avoid, number 1, is Nightshades. Okay, nightshades. These are so problematic. Now, a few of these include tomatoes, peppers like chili peppers, bell peppers, things like that, eggplant, and oh my gosh, ashwagandha, which everybody tells women in menopause, take ashwagandha, take ashwagandha. It's a nightshade, okay? It could be causing problems. By the way, instead of ashwagandha, I recommend rhodiola rosa. It has the same effects. It's an adaptogen, but it's not a nightshade. What's the problem with nightshades? A lot of times they cause a ton of inflammation. Well, okay, so maybe they have before and you never noticed it, and then when you hit menopause and women, when you get to a certain age, your bodies become more sensitive, so now it's affecting you. Or it actually could be the opposite. Your body's been able to process them before, but when you've hit a certain age, now your body's more susceptible to stress and your body's not digesting as well. You may be developing a gut issue or something you don't realize, and now your body has a hard time processing nightshades and they're causing inflammation, which in fact you could heal with food and exercise. But either of those could happen. They could definitely be preventing you from losing weight. You want to cut out nightshades. Now, does everybody need to cut them out forever? No. Cut them out, but then put them back in a little bit at a time and see if they cause problems. Do you gain weight? Do you get inflammation, headaches, insomnia, bloating, gas, indigestion? Test them out, all right? Let's look at the second food you should pull out, and that's melon and also pineapple. Why? Well, okay, these fruits tend to be extremely sweet. And if you don't eat them at the right time of day, and this would be different for everyone, okay? Has to do with your activities, what time you wake up, what time you go to bed, when you exercise, your body type, if you're insulin resistant or not. But generally, if you are eating too much melon or pineapple, those fruits are so sweet, they may be cranking up your insulin a little too high and preventing you from burning fat. So I would recommend maybe some better fruits. You know I love berries if you've watched any of my videos. Those are great. Cherries are pretty good. Oranges aren't bad. Pears, peaches, things like that. Those are great alternatives too. But I would be careful of the melon and the pineapple, especially no canned or jarred fruit in the syrup. I would think that would be obvious, but I just want to make sure you know. Don't get the canned fruit or the fruit in the jar, with the comes in the fruit juice syrup stuff. No good, okay? Let's look at number 3. This would include white rice or white potatoes. Now, there's a lot of debate online about white rice and brown rice and wild rice and whether you should have sweet potato, yam, potato, russet, red, all these. So the white potatoes, I would include russet, salad potatoes, red potatoes, anything that's not a sweet potato or a yam. These foods don't have a lot of fiber. They're okay on vitamins and minerals, but not great. There's a lot of better alternatives. Now, the potatoes are a nightshade, okay, just so you know. But a lot of times they lack fiber, and when you eat them, even though they might fill you up, they're just really not great for balancing out meals. They're not a great carbohydrate choice for fat loss. And so a lot of people, this was really popular in the 90s, the low-fat diets where a lot of people would eat white rice and potatoes all the time. And sometimes that would cause them to gain weight. Now, you can have white rice and potatoes. These are a food you would want to strategically time with certain types of exercise, and that would be very dependent on your goals, whether it's fat loss or toning your muscles or maybe even gaining muscles. So that's really highly dependent on the individual, your goals, and your type of activity. But generally, I would say, hey, switch out the white rice for maybe brown rice or wild rice or quinoa. And then with the potato, switch from a white potato to a yam. Easy switch. All right, very good. Let's look at the fourth food you should avoid if you're trying to lose weight, and especially if you're in menopause. Super greens. Okay, anytime. Or smoothie, okay? Don't put your vegetables or greens in a smoothie. Stop doing that. Whether it's kale or spinach, or you get one of these super green powders, AG1 or Orgain. If you buy their protein shakes, they got a list that's the size of a phone book of different things they've added to the shakes. Do not do this. I can't tell you exactly why. This is one of those things that is not in any of the literature. But for 24 years, I have seen this create terrible reactions with women in menopause. I had one client just recently who is losing weight just fine. I mean, she's looking amazing. And then her weight went up 2 pounds in 3 days. 2 pounds in 3 days. And I asked her, I said, what did you change? She said, nothing, I don't think. She goes, oh, you know what? I ran out of that protein powder that you recommended, and I switched to my Orgain, and I said, does it have that super green mix in it with all the different greens and fruits and veggies? She goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, it does. I said, cut that out. That's probably causing inflammation. She stopped it. Within 2 days, the weight was back down. She said, oh my gosh. She goes, and now that you mention it, I felt a little inflamed. My joints were tight, and I was a little bit tired and sluggish. Listen, I remember the kale craze. You probably do too. And I can't tell you how many women I saw back in the early 2000s that put on all this weight because they were making these kale smoothies with raw kale. When you take raw vegetables and you grind them up and make a juice or a smoothie out of them, or add them to your protein, or you do a super green shake, you are taking a vegetable which could be causing inflammation in its raw form, and you're grinding it and putting it into a juice, which is absolutely going to be the most concentrated form you could even get. And now it's hitting your body, and wham, it can cause all these problems. It's weird, I know, but I just see it all the time, all the time. All right, let's look at the last food you should avoid if you want to lose weight, especially in menopause, and that is low quality proteins. Listen, I know with the keto and the carnivore and these things, these folks are saying, no, high protein, eat the high fat, it's fine, it's great. And I tell you, I have clients that are just going along smooth, and every time they start eating really fatty meats, this would be like chicken thighs or chicken drumsticks, or they're eating bacon or ribs or a really fatty steak, their weight goes up. And they go, Stu, I don't understand what's going on. I didn't change anything. And I said, yes, you did. You changed from a high quality protein to a low quality protein. The type of fat in these proteins is saturated fats. These will cause insulin resistance. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you are overweight and you're like, gosh, I'm storing it all around my belly, I want to lose weight, and you have, which might be very likely, a little bit of insulin resistance, and you say, oh, I'll just eat these proteins, these are great, and the chicken thighs and drumsticks, they're so juicy, and oh, this is great, give me the bacon, I've read it's fine, I just shouldn't eat the carbs. You'll still create more insulin resistance, and your body will store those saturated fats as stored body fat so easily. You don't want those. They're not unlimited, number one, and they're not that great for you, and they're not great for health. I know. You really want to have leaner proteins and then add in the right types of fats that will improve insulin sensitivity, help lower your cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, and help regulate your body Well, on paper, if you were counting macros, you'd probably get the same amount of fat. Odd, so I don't do macros. But where they're coming from is very different, and how those fats and other nutrients get used by the body is completely different. This is why you have to understand this. The body's a little bit more complex than either calories or just macros. You have to understand how these different foods cause different chemical reactions. And remember, the most important piece for succeeding, getting your body to burn fat without having to restrict calories or deprive yourself, you've got to eat the right food at the right time in the right combination to cause the correct chemical reactions in your body, so it takes all that food you're eating and puts it in the right places and uses it instead of storing it as fat. That's the key. And I'm going to put up a little lesson here you can go watch, which explains this in detail. So cut these 5 foods. Actually, there's extra, but cut these out. And I'm going to put up 2 video lessons right now that will go in depth with different foods and timing and hormones and how they affect you. Go watch these videos. You're going to love them. And I will see you over there. All right, I hope this was helpful. I'll see you there. Okay, take care.